Hey, what's up, guys? Let's check out this game against our good friend Mr. Robotvinnik. Alright, so in this game, both sides have got 5 pawns and a bishop. But you'll notice something. It's a little unusual. We have a dark squared bishop, and Mr. Robotvinnik has a light squared bishop. Alright, well, you might think, hey, I see a good way to beat Mr. Robotvinnik. I can just move my bishop back here to the base of the pawn chain and attack the last pawn, and then gobble all these pawns, and yeah, that should be easy. I'll promote a pawn, make a queen, make a checkmate, no big deal. Well, you could try that, but let's see. Mr. Robotvinnik is not going to easily let us win. In fact, he could put up a little bit of a fight here. So even after we win this pawn, which there's no way that Mr. Robotvinnik could stop us from winning this pawn on the end. It's important to notice he cannot do the same trick to us because our pawn is defended, right? But even after we win a pawn, or even 2 or 3 here, Mr. Robotvinnik is going to be able to use his bishop and his king to make our job of winning a little bit harder. For instance, if I try to push this pawn right now, he might be able to sneak in with his bishop. And now, well, he can't let me make a new queen, right? So he has to stop that. Bishop here prevents me from making a new queen. Now I could race my king over to try to help out with my king. But Mr. Robotvinnik also has a king, and he will be able to use his king to create some problems for us. Now you might be thinking, okay, well, why not just win the rest of the pawns? Yeah, I could win the rest of the pawns, and I am going to win this game. In fact, Mr. Robotvinnik is going to offer me a bishop. But there's a much, much, much faster way to win, and I want to show it to you. In this position, instead of going after this last pawn, which gives Mr. Robotvinnik enough time to come over and try to put up a defense, we could actually play a very tricky move. We could instead use our bishop to capture the pawn on d6. What's the idea? Well, if black takes the bishop with the pawn now, then we would be able to just make a new queen right away. And if he doesn't, well, then we can very quickly scoop up these pawns. And you'll see here my bishop and pawn are already protecting the squares we need to make a new queen. Oh, wait a second. No, they're not. And when I push here, he could simply take that one too. Oh my goodness. Even though I'm winning all of these pawns, Mr. Robotvinnik is putting up a valiant defense. Alright, I'll put my king on the dark squares. And now I'll win this last pawn. And you will see, even though I have 3 extra pawns, it's going to be extremely hard to win this game because Mr. Robotvinnik has a light squared bishop, and he can defend on squares that my dark squared bishop cannot attack. But with 3 pawns, I should be able to win. If it were only 2 pawns, he actually could draw. Alright, let's see. My plan is to advance my 3 pawns together, making sure that they're always protected and supported by my king. And if I can, I will push black's king out of the way from in front of my pawns. That would be something that would make this easier. Mr. Robotvinnik taking his time, perhaps realizing maybe I will actually be able to win this after all. All right, let's see. A moment of truth. Okay, there is a check. And now an important thing to notice is my dark squared bishop is going to be able to help push the king away from the dark squares. So while my king can help protect my pawns on the white squares, by moving out of the way, I'm checking Mr. Robotvinnik's king, gaining a little tempo here. In fact, right there, I'm threatening to queen right away, so he'll have to come back and defend. I can protect this pawn now. And with his king a little bit out of the way, I can push here, and now I'll be able to make a new queen. Okay. Do we need a second queen? No, we should not get a second queen. Although it will make it so much faster. I will get a rook. And checkmate. Alright, wow, very well played, Mr. Robotvinnik. He did not make it easy. I will say, if you go back to the very beginning, rather than allowing your pawns to be captured, once you capture one of these pawns, you could just immediately gobble all of black's pawns. It's probably much easier to win with all 5 of these passed pawns, rather than with 3 as I originally tried. And of course, the most important thing to remember here is your bishop and pawns can't do it on their own. Your king needs to be part of the action. So make sure you're getting your king involved in the endgame, helping these pawns to promote. All right, there is a link in the description to where you can try to beat Mr. Robotvinnik. See if you can do it. Good luck.